time for IDK, where we learn how to do something new. The Work Seattle, they have such cool classes, and they've got upcoming classes on how to create your own patio gardens this summer.
We are so excited to learn a little bit here. So here to give us a little preview and share some gardening techniques, we have instructor Ashley Rogers. Welcome.
Hi.
So happy to have you here. So talk to us about the kind of things that people are going to be learning during the class.
So in our patio gardening class, we're going to walk students through how to create and plan their own garden, kind of decide what type of plants and different styles they want to use that fits their lifestyle and kind of create that outdoor oasis they're looking for. And then we're going to go through all the care requirements for them and kind of make sure that they have the tools to really keep that garden healthy.
Okay, I'm so glad you're teaching us this. Because we love plants, both of us do. I wouldn't say I'm like the best plant mom. Every time I buy a new one, I'm like, how high maintenance is this?
How often are you buying a new one?
I just got two last weekend when we're coming back from Bellingham.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to learn some of those techniques right now. How do we create a cute potted arrangement? Let's start there.
Yeah, so we're going to make this little arrangement, this little potted arrangement, and we're going to use the design that's called a thriller, filler, and spiller.
Oh, very fancy. Thriller, spiller, filler. I like that.
Yeah, so our thriller is our star, and so we're using these little daisies. I believe they're a river daisy of some sort. I completely forgot now that are here. And so we're going to use those as our thrillers. They are an annual plant, so they're a plant we're going to have to repot yearly. So annuals you have to repot yearly.
I've
That's
never
kind of the trick.
So this is
there you go. It was never your fault.
I'm going to work you through with this one. This is going to be our filler. This is some thyme. But what you're going to do is you're going to flip this upside down. And you're going to kind of squeeze the pot. We're going to make a bunch of dirt all over the place and it should come off easily.
Very nice.
There we go.
Okay, and so we're going to flip it back around. And so the first thing you want to do when planting a new plant into a pot is we want to break up those roots. So don't worry about breaking them up, ripping them. That is perfectly fine.
We're not going to ruin all the progress
You're not going to. Actually, ripping those roots is going to encourage growth. And it's going to help them kind of grow into their new little home. And so when we flipped it over, it was all balled up into a root ball. And so we're trying to get that dirt off so it can spread their little legs out.
So
don't worry. Don't worry. So you can rip them off. It's fine. The thing is you don't want to rip all the roots off. You just want to kind of rough them up. So you'll stick it right inside your little pot. Kind of nestle it in a little bit. Perfect.
Nestle.
Also, in addition to just roughing that up, you can actually tear those completely apart. So you can have two different ones. So this guy can come in as our filler. So this is some lemon thyme.
Very nice.
So as you can see, we're mixing plants together. They don't have to be all the same. I'm ripping it apart again. So if I want to put this in another pot, I can, but I'm just going to fill it in as my filler. The only thing when mixing plants is you want to make sure they have the same care requirements. You want to rip that guy apart, give it a try. You can do the same thing with this one.
It makes me nervous.
Rip apart this one?
Yes, rip apart that one. You just tear it apart.
It feels so wrong to rip it apart.
No, it's totally great for them. They don't want to live in that root ball forever. Yeah, just kind of take it, find a little part, and then just kind of rip it apart right there. And you can do it. It's not going to hurt them.
Really good too.
No, you're fine.
Are you sure?
She's so nervous.
Oh wait, I got all soil.
You ripped,
but you still have
the wrong side.
You're fine. We're fine. It's definitely workable.
Definitely fine.
Cool. So then you just kind of nestle it in around?
Nestle it in as you're spilling.
What should I do with this root clump?
This would just go in the compost. This is done. It's duty. You can always rip off some more because we got to like kind of fit it in there. But we can always go stick it over in this guy too.
Okay.
Look at that.
Now I have to know what kind of plant. I'm really struggling here. What kind of plants should we be using in our region? I mean, are there some that do particularly well?
Well, the best way I like to do is I like to go to like my local nursery. They're always going to make sure that they have the plants that work well in your neighborhood. But we are a zone 9, I believe. So basically, we want any plants that are going to have likes a lot of water.
That's good to know.
And so always on that back of that little plant tag, it's going to tell you how to take care of them.
That's helpful.
So that is the big thing is just sort of what they keep. They'll make sure they'll do well here. They're not going to keep a plant that's not going to work well.
So once we choose our plant, we pot them. How do we know what type of soil to use?
So since we're potting them in a pot, we want to make sure we use potting soil. Potting soil is designed to make sure that there's enough nutrients for that plant inside a little pot. So you want to make sure it's potting soil.
Oh, excellent. And how do you know I'm an overwaterer? How do you know you've overwatered or underwatering a plant?
Well, plants can be a little tricky and a little mean in the sense that when you overwater and you underwater, the signs can be very, very similar.
Oh.
But the big tell-all is if you stick your finger into the soil and
Yeah.
it's sopping wet, it's probably,
Okay.
oh,
Okay.
you're looking sad because it's really, really wet. So on that back of that plant tag, it's going to tell you how often to water. So these
Yeah.
plants, all of these plants want to have about once a week.
Okay.
So when you pot them together, you want to make sure that they have the same water
so one
schedule.
isn't like every 2 weeks, and then you're not getting
You try to
enough.
keep them together. So if you have a bunch that are every 2 weeks, you put them in a little pot together as friends.
What about like the holes on the bottom of the pots? How do you know when you need that versus, because I always see these cute plant pots that don't have holes, and I'm like, is my plant going to die if I put it in there? How do you know?
I always suggest you want to make sure it has a drainage hole because then that's going to really make sure you don't overwater, so that water is going to drain out. You can always stick rocks on the bottom as a like drainage, but I always try to make sure there's a hole.
Yeah.
You can always drill your own hole. There's plant shops that can do that for you as well. So always look for
I never even thought.
Excellent. So
drainage.
if it just does not have a hole and you really are set on using it, can you keep it in one of these and just stick that in there?
You definitely can. I try to recommend people is try to repot it because we took all the soil out. All the soil. This plant's probably been living in this little grow pot for about a year, and it's eaten all of that nutrients, and so this soil isn't really serving it anymore. And so we want to give it fresh new soil.
What about like, do plants always need like nutritional supplements? What do you call it? You know those little like squirt things?
Yeah,
that have vitamins?
definitely.
Do they always need that, or can you just have them use
When
the
it
soil?
comes to fertilizing, I try to make sure I fertilize in its growing season. So spring and summer, I avoid fertilizing in the winter because that's when your plants are kind of taking a little nap. They're dormant at that point. But yeah, definitely look for, like the soil, we wanted a potted plant. These have flowering, so you would look for like a fertilizer for flowering plants and just follow the instructions. Each are different.
Such good tips, and I
cool.
love our new little pots. This is really fun. Ashley, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming in and helping us have greener thumbs than we do. We posted more info with a link on the Work Seattle classes coming up on our website, fox13seattle.com/studio13live. And coming up next, Mireya, I heard that you got to learn how to make